I dare somebody to call into this show today and try to pretend to be outraged because a 22-year-old prospect who had 6 putouts in that game, 2 hits, made a flub at the end of the game. We talk so much as a fan base, Giants in particular, about playing the young people, playing the young guys. And you're going to have to live with some of the mistakes.
So is that what you're gathering from Giants fans? Is that they're blaming Luciano for the loss?
I won't allow it.
Because that would be kind of silly. And look, Luke Jackson comes in the 9th inning.
Well, let's start there.
And he walks Lewinsky with 1 out, and he gives up the double to Grandal in his 2nd and 3rd. So then you got to bring in Camilo Duvall, and he right away walks a guy, bases loaded.
But before you get there, Luke Jackson up 6-2.
That's what I said, Luke Jackson.
He
why? Walked the guy, double.
But why Luke Jackson?
So, well, that's
where I'm going at.
Yeah,
why would you go? So I get it, non-safe situation. But to me, 4-run lead, like with O'Neal Cruz looming at some point, just go to Duvall. Well, I don't want Luke Jackson in the 9th.
Well, I would either go Duvall or go with the Rogers brothers. I don't care. He had
pitched the inning before.
He had pitched the inning before. I get it. But give me the other one.
Okay.
Give me the other one. Give me Taylor. I don't care what it is. Luke Jackson cannot be in the game in the 9th inning.
Now, he did get an out on the very first pitch of that inning. And, you start the inning with 1 out. But when you walk guys, this is what happens.
Walk a guy with nobody on base, and then you give up a double. The other thing about this baseball game that I thought was a key stretch. Tyrone Strada hits the 2-run jack at the top of the 5th. Chapman doubles later on. You got the bases loaded with 1 out. You pinch hit from McKenna because McKenna didn't have it going at the plate.
Where did McKenna came out of nowhere?
Yeah, I mean, that's
you claim a guy from the Baltimore Orioles that no one's heard of? Like what?
He was. I think he was a prospect with the Orioles. But he's
you know what I'm saying? Like it came out of nowhere.
It's the Farhan experience, right? So then you pitch hit, and I'm not mad at pitch hitting for Yaz from McKenna. I'm not mad at that, but he pops out to first base. And then Luciano comes out with 2 outs with the bases loaded, and he pops out to second base.
Yep.
And so you don't put the game away. And then in the bottom of the 5th inning, the Pirates chip away, and they get a run.
Yep.
And next thing you know, it's 4-2 instead of maybe 6-1. And that game's over. That game's over with a single, bases loaded. So you can lose games all throughout a game.
I totally agree.
To me, you left that game on the silver platter for Pittsburgh to do something crazy in the 9th inning, and something crazy happened.
Well, so like there's the whole Luciano conversation, which is going to happen naturally all day today. He's got to get it out there. So on that play, it's a chopper type of a play. 9 times out of 10, you're going to tell your guys you have one of 2 things you can do in that situation. You're either going to charge it and try to get the short hop, or you're going to give a little ground and allow the ball to come to you. He tried to stab at it in the middle ground. Yeah. I think he was trying to get to stab so he can get rid of the ball quickly. He has to turn the glove around the other way. That's number 1. He acknowledged that in the clubhouse after the game. But, that's a tough play. It's just a really tough play.
You got to make that play.
No,
it's a tough play that you got to make. Let's be real. Look. I'm not blaming the kid for the loss. But you got to make that play. You got to get it out.
Bonte,
you have to get it out. There's no, and I'm not blaming the kid whatsoever. I don't care where his glove was at, how you got to get it out. You got to get 1 out.
I'm telling you, that play is a lot harder than everyone wants to give it. You have the ball spinning one way, it hits the ground, comes up funky, it button hooks you. But he's got to turn the glove around.
I hear you.
Yeah, I get it. You got to make it now. He's trying to turn 2, he's trying to get out of that game. I agree. Try to get 1. Yes, in an ideal situation, I want to get 1. The guy made 6 other plays prior to that that were awesome.
Plays. He made great plays. I thought the play in the middle of the inning when what was that, the bottom of the 5th? He had the 5th inning where he made that great play.
The Reynolds play?
Yeah, the Reynolds play.
Yeah, the Brian Reynolds play. That was we had one in the 8th and one in the 5th. But the
5th inning is the one I'm talking about.
The throw to Estrada after that. Yeah, it was really nice play.
Unbelievable.
Yes. But on that particular sequence, they're in double play depth. You have your corners in. It's bases loaded, and McCutchen hits again a tweener chopper. And I know Crawford makes that play. Crawford made a lot of errors too last year. Now, yes, in this heyday when Crawford was the man, he makes that play every single time.
Look, come on, that play in the 9th inning. Well, Luciano, I'm not blaming the kid. That's a routine play in the big leagues.
It's not a routine play.
It feels
the
like
way
that's
bouncing, it's not routine.
It looks like a routine play to me in that ninth inning, and you got to get it out there.
Well, you got to get it out is yes, but like
you
again,
got to get it out there.
I'm saying it's a tougher play than it looks.
Okay, it's a tougher play, but that's
because
the play you got to make as a big
between charging
leaguer.
it and you're in between backing up, and it button hooks you. And I think that the spin on that ball, it's an error.
Right.
There's no doubt about it. You got to make an out on that.
You got to make that play.
What I'm saying is on that particular play, you'd rather have a hard hit ball than the softer chopper.
I hear you, but that's not how it works. In the game of baseball, sometimes you're going to get slow rollers, sometimes you're going to get hard choppers, and I understand what you're saying. It's not the easiest play. We get it. I get it. But you got to make the play. You got to make the play, kid. You got to make the play. You want to stay on this team? You want to be a big leaguer? You got to make that play in the ninth inning. At least get me one out. Well, don't think about two. What it looked like to me, with my eyes, it looked like he was thinking about the double play.
Well, yeah.
And he couldn't wait to get the ball out of his hands and
he's trying to bail out his closer to end the game. Like, I get that. I understand that.
So I can't.
But he makes the very next play and bounces back. You're going to have to live with the growing pains. This is what development looks like in real time. And you don't get to reap the benefits, for example, of him in the 8th inning when a guy's blowing 100 miles per hour and he just takes one the other way and gets a single and he gets you an extra run to put you up 6-2 because he gets on base to start that inning. So, like, you get to reap the benefits of his bat, and part of the growth is going to be with the glove.
Right,
That's
exactly.
it's baked into the equation.
And we got to live with that, whether it's Luciano, whether it's Matos, whether it's Ramos, whether it's Casey Schmidt, whether it's Patrick Bailey. If they make mistakes, this is what we want. We want to see these guys. And Lubman asked me yesterday, he goes, when will we know they're good? Will we know in a month? Will we know? No. We're going to know at the end of the season what type of players these guys are. And we still may not know what the finished product is. That's how baseball works. You could ball out one year, you could slump the next year, you could bounce back the next year. Baseball's a funky game. That's why I love it. Because you never know if they are legit or not. We're not going to know if these players are legit by June, by July.
No, but
they need to play.
Yeah, a game like yesterday, you could see some of like the encouragement. Like, I'm seeing things from his team. So, for example, right, is O'Neal Cruz a really good player?
Oh, I think he's a baller.
I do too. He made a huge error early in the game. Now, you can blame the sun. You could blame the left fielder coming in on him. Like, he gave them 2 runs before the game even started. But as a Pirate fan, you have to live with it because you get the spectacular exit velo late in the game with a ball that's about to hit him in the knee, blowing 100 from Camilo as he rips it down the line. He is spectacular. Now, I have a bigger problem. I'm being real with you. I have a bigger problem with going to Luke Jackson in the 9th inning than I do Luciano's error. And I'll fight somebody to the death on this. Luke Jackson is a journeyman at best. And you're going to start you're on the road. It's the start of a road trip. You have a 6-2 lead. Just go right to Doval. It sets the tone.
So is that on Melvin?
I don't even know. Is that a Melvin or a Farhan decision? I don't know. And then he throws 25 pitches and you take him out. I guess you want him available for tomorrow, and then you go to Eric Miller. Like, I don't know. Like,
once Miller came in and gave it a 10th inning, I was like, this is just a matter of time before this one's over.
So I want to explore 2 things. Like, Luke Jackson in the 9th, to me, why? Why? And then it's 1st and 3rd, and I want your opinion on this. 1st and 3rd, you have a 1-run lead, okay? And there are 2 outs. Camilo Doval versus O'Neal Cruz.
Yeah, I'm not pitching to O'Neal Cruz.
Why?
I'm not pitching because he's O'Neal Cruz. He's a baller. I'm making Connor Joe beat me.
Okay.
Righty and righty.
That's who's on deck.
And O'Neal Cruz is bad left-handed. He ripped that ball to right field. Ripped it. What did Flip say? 118 miles per hour or something like that? He ripped that thing. You got situational baseball. All went the crap in the 9th inning. So, first of all, you go Luke Jackson, which I wasn't the biggest fan of. Doval, you tried to get him bailed out. Luciano commits to error. So then you got the runner on, and things were so erratic for the Giants. This is where I count on Bomel. This is why I asked last week, what's the difference between Bomel and Kapler so far? Runner on first base, you see O'Neal Cruz, and he's having a solid day. And he's swinging a hot bat. He's been hitting well. You got to walk him. And you got to say, you know what? It's Connor Joe or bust.
I kind of feel you on that because there's two thoughts on this. Hey, it's my closer. I shouldn't be afraid of anyone. But let me give you the advanced numbers. Cruz versus righties, which Camilo Doval's a righty. He's batting .368.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
Connor Joe versus righties, .276. Now, just to give you some perspective, what's Camilo's numbers? Camilo versus lefties, which is what O'Neal Cruz is, guys are hitting .278. Yep. Righties, 118.
Yep.
So I understand not wanting to walk a guy and put the game-winning run at second base.
Wait a minute. No. Those numbers, Camilo Duvall against right-handers.
I'll give it to you again.
Right-handers.
Righties are batting 118
against Duvall. So what's so complicated about this move?
Okay, that's what
you walk the guy, you got the open base, and you go after Connor Joe. That's the game anyway. That's the game anyway.
I kind of feel you.
So I in real time, I just thought, wow. This ninth inning has been totally mismanaged. The players haven't executed. So I'm not, a lot of people, I asked on Twitter, is this the worst loss of the season? I think it easily is.
I agree.
Four-run lead in ninth inning. And you had an opportunity to win 5 games in a row and continue the momentum.
Yes.
Now you face the Pittsburgh Pirates big boys.
Yes.
Coming up here, Jones and Skeens.
2 flamethrowers.
Flamethrowers. Jones and Skeens are nasty.
You got the guy who's been giving up. Right. A lot of runs, and you had him on the ropes. That's the part that frustrates me.
So this is difference. This is the difference between winning a series and losing a series. I've got to stop the bleeding right there, and I got to say, Camilo, you're either going to get Connor Joe or we're losing. Go after Connor Joe. And I'm not worried about whether he's going to throw one to the backstop. I'm not going to worry about whether he's going to throw a fastball or there's going to be a wild pitch or whatnot. You got to go after Connor Joe. So players didn't execute. It wasn't managed right. And it was a team-wide meltdown. That equals the worst loss of the season.
When I look at forget analytics, just manalytics, as I always talk about. I'm not letting your best player beat me.
Yeah, no, that's silly.
Right? Ask anyone in the Giants dugout, who do you fear more, Connor Joe or O'Neal Cruz?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody in baseball.
So
our boy Connor Joe, who's batting cleanup, by the way.
But here's a great example. But Bonte, here's a great example of the manalytics actually are backed up by the analytics. Whereas I'm telling you, Cruz hits righties literally 368.
Listen.
Connor Joe hits righties 276. Camilo versus lefties 278. Camilo versus righties 115.
I'll say this.
This is pretty easy to me.
I'll say this. O'Neal Cruz could have been batting 068.
I fear him too.
Against righties.
I'm with you.
I have an open base. I'm taking my chances with Connor Joe.
And I was listening to Javi Lopez, and he made a good point. O'Neal Cruz can strike out, and he does strike out a lot. And I know that you want to get the strikeout. I get all that. That's a guy I'm completely pitching around. But in that situation, they tried to pitch her. He threw one inches from his knee on the inside. It wasn't even close to a strike. But O'Neal Cruz is so damn good. He's like, you're going to throw one low and in? I'm going to yank it down the line. That ball was scalded.
It was not good. Let's go to Big Al in Richmond. Big Al, what's happening? You're on the roast.
Hey, how you doing, Shasky and Vontae? I'm a long-time listener. But I do got a question what Shasky said about Luciano. Yes, I do blame Luciano and Bob Melvin for the loss yesterday because it's already been told that he's kind of shaky at shortstop. Why not put somebody for defensive purposes in the ninth inning?
That's a good call. That's a good point.
Here's what I was thinking before you go.
I like that point, Big Al.
No. In my mind, that's where Nick Ahmed, late in games, on the road, that's where you make the substitution, but he's not available. I'm with you, but you also have to give Luciano the opportunity to make mistakes and play through them. This is just part of the growing pains. It sucks.
Yeah, yes, but at the same time, didn't you have Casey Schmidt, in the dugout? He could have been playing shortstop.
That's a good point.
And I like him better as a defensive-minded person. At the same time, he reminds me of Solomon Torres, Luciano, because Solomon Torres never did against the Dodgers. He couldn't make it in a big moment. Yeah. I think Luciano's that type of player where he will not be he has a bat, but when it comes to shortstop, unless he finds another position to play, he's always going to be shaky at shortstop. That's my feeling. Hey,
Big Al, that's a great point. Defensive replacement late in the game. That was not managed well in the ninth inning.
No.
It was not managed well, and that goes back to Bob Melvin. I'm not blaming him for the loss, but those are the situations. I brought in a big boy manager who's been a manager of the year in that situation. I got a four-game winning streak. The clubhouse is feeling good. The fan base is feeling good.
Totally.
The youngsters are playing well. Matos is having good at-bats. Tyro Estrada's coming around. How about Matt Chapman batting 279 in the month of May? He's got the power stroke rolling. He's hitting bombs. So Big Al is right in Richmond. Defensive replacement, Luke Jackson. I mean, that was mismanaged all the way to the T. Open base, you pitched to O'Neal Cruz instead of Connor Joe. Load the bases up saying, I'm staying away from O'Neal Cruz. I'd rather go out to Connor Joe because the numbers back it up. That was mismanaged. Players didn't execute it. And again, that equals the worst loss of the season.
I agree.
And now you're on the back end playing their big boys on the mound. They're going to be feeling good today with Jones on the mound and Paul Skeens on Thursday.